Tillu and his parents live beneath the surface of a planet under artificial conditions. Tillu has heard and read about the sun and the stars. He has never seen them. Tillu's father goes to work through a secret passage and Tillu wants to know all about it. Tillu, how often have you been told not to go that way? But why does daddy go there every day? Tillu wants to know why his father goes in a secret passage every day. Because that's his job, Tillu. That way was an underground passage. Tillu's father went every day for work along that passage. And every day he came back from that direction. What lay at the end of that forbidden route? Not only Tillu, but a great majority of the community would have liked to know. Tillu's father was one of the select few permitted to go that way. The above conversation invariably took place between Tillu and his mother whenever he insisted on following his father. Today, however, was different. Tillu's father was enjoying a siesta at home. See, the meaning of siesta is given, children. Short rest or nap after lunch. Tillu's father was enjoying a siesta at home and Tillu managed to get hold of his security card. Then, evading his watchful mother's eyes, Tillu made his way for the forbidden passage. A metal door barred his entry. That means he was stopped from entering immediately into that secret passage by a metal door. But Tillu had watched his father slip the magic card into a slot. He did the same, and the door opened noiselessly. A well-lit passage seemed to beckon him. That means it appeared as if a well-lit passage was calling him inside. Snatching the card which had come out of another slot in the wall, Tillu started his march along a gentle upward slope, for the passage led from the underground habitat to the surface of the planet. Tillu looked forward to seeing the sun if it was daytime or the stars if it was night, about which he had heard and read so much. But alas, that wasn't to be. Tillu had underestimated the security arrangements. Invisible mechanical devices had already detected and photographed the small intruder. Small intruder means the small person who had entered this underground passage secretly. And who was this small intruder? Tillu. Tillu had underestimated the security arrangements. Invisible mechanical devices had already detected and photographed the small intruder. Sent his picture to the Central Bureau where it was thoroughly checked. And before he had advanced 10 paces, a strong hand fell heavily on his shoulder. Gently but firmly, he was escorted, that means he was taken by the security staff back home to an anxious and angry mother. Whose mother was anxious and angry? Tillu's. Because Tillu was not allowed to go there, but he went in that secret passage without informing anyone. While he was being scolded, he received help from an unexpected quarter. "Let me explain to him, darling," said his father, who had just got up. "If he is properly briefed, he will not do such a thing again." He started to explain. So his father decided that let me explain everything to Tillu and then he will understand why no one is allowed to go in that secret passage. Only those who are permitted, those who have the pass, those who have that card can only go. Listen, Tillu. I work on a surface where an ordinary person cannot survive because the air is too thin to breathe and where the temperature is so low that you would freeze to death. But, Daddy, how do you manage to survive? Because I go well equipped in a special suit with a reservoir of oxygen. I can keep warm, and my boots are specially designed to make it easy for me to walk on the surface. What's more, I, what's more, I have been trained to survive and work on the surface. So Tillu's father explained to him that he carries oxygen with him. He has special boots specially designed to walk on that surface. He can keep himself warm and he has got training to survive and work on that surface. There was a time when our forefathers lived on the surface quite naturally. Indeed, they did so for millions of years, but times changed. The very sun, which has provided us with sustenance, turned hostile. It changed only slightly, but the change was sufficient to upset the balance of nature on this planet. First, the birds became extinct. The animals followed. That means birds started dying, there were fewer and fewer birds, then animals followed. Now there were fewer animals. The animals followed. The fish couldn't bear it anymore either. We managed to survive only because of our superior technology. But we were forced to live underground under artificial conditions. Thanks to solar energy, we can generate sufficient power to make our life comfortable. But the machines which make this possible must always be in good working condition. Some of them are on the surface. I belong to the team whose responsibility is to keep watch on them and to service them. Service them means to keep them in proper working condition. Daddy, can I join the team when I grow up? Of course, if you want to, said his father. But for that, you must be a good boy and do as your parents tell you. His mother had, as usual, the last word. Next day, when Tillu's father went to work, he found the control room full of excitement. People were crowded round the big TV screen. It showed a dot in an otherwise clear background. It isn't a star, for it's changing its position. Our computer has given a trajectory for this thing. It's heading towards us, the supervisor of the last shift explained. A spacecraft? Tillu's father asked. By now, he was joined by his teammates on the new shift. So we think, but it needs watching. A spacecraft? Where from? The solar system wasn't known to have any life anywhere else except on their planet. Tillu's father recalled the ancient days recorded in the archives at the Central Bureau when their ancestors had a well developed space program and had searched the solar system with manned and unmanned spacecraft and found that they were indeed alone. Now, in the days of energy shortage and underground life, they had no space program. They could only watch impotently from their vantage point. Who were these strangers? The conference room in the Central Bureau was so quiet that an outsider would have thought it was empty. Far from it. It was full of capacity, but the members of the Central Committee were unusually quiet. They knew that the president was going to make a momentous announcement. Colleagues, I will give you the report as I have it. While I speak, there may be a change in the situation. The president paused to get his papers in order and then continued. Two spacecraft are approaching us. One is in fact orbiting our planet while the other is still far away. We guess that they are coming from the neighboring planet. How should we react? Number 1, your views please. Number 1 was in charge of defense. He was known for his courage and wisdom. Sir, if we wish, we can totally destroy these spacecrafts with our missiles. But that won't make us any wiser. We do not have the capacity to render these craft unoperational in space. But should they land, we can render them ineffective anytime we choose. Our reports say that they do not contain living beings. They only have instruments. Number 2, your opinion please. The president asked the scientist on the committee. I recommend non interference and passive observation. Since we do not know the power of the senders of these spacecraft and we are still in the dark about their intentions, it is wise not to reveal our existence. If we destroy these spacecrafts and render them ineffective, we might reveal our existence. The president looked at number 3, a social scientist. He rarely agreed with number 2, but this was one of those rare occasions when he did. That means he did agree. I agree with number 2, sir. In fact, I will go so far as to say that we should keep our surface activities to the minimum, thus creating the impression that there is no life on this planet. Fortunately, our surface conditions do give that impression. Before the president could speak, his personal telephone rang. He lifted the receiver and listened quietly for a minute. Colleagues, he announced, the first spacecraft has landed. Tillu accompanies his father to the control room. In his experiment, he presses the all important red button on the panel and the mechanical hand from the alien spacecraft stops working. The mechanical hand is activated again, but it finds no signs of life on that on that planet. It was a red letter day in Tillu's life, the day he was waiting for his father had at last taken him to the control room. From here he could see the alien spacecraft on his TV screen. What a funny looking thing, Daddy. What does it contain? Tillu asked. His father shook his head. Can't say for sure. That means he was not sure what does it contain. We are only allowed to observe it from far. But we control all its parts and can exercise our power if it is up to any mischief. He pointed to an impressive panel with several colored buttons on it. Tillu looked at them wistfully. Look, it's up to something, Daddy. Tillu suddenly noted some movement in the spacecraft. Others in the control room saw it too. All eyes were now glued to the screen. A mechanical hand was emerging from the spacecraft. It was approaching on the surface of the planet. It bent and touched the soil. What was it up to? People crowded towards the screen for a closer look. The telescopic lens of the TV camera zoomed in to the tip of the mechanical hand. Tillu was staring at the control panel and its attractive buttons. An irresistible desire to hold of him got hold of him to press the most prominent of all the buttons, and the red one. He moved. There was a shrill whistle, and Tillu found himself the center of attention. His father pulled him away roughly and restored the red button to neutral position. But the damage was done. The mechanical hand from the spacecraft ceased to work. At a press conference held by NASA, a scientist was briefing the world press. Everything has been going on smoothly with the Viking mission. There was a small hitch. The mechanical hand, which was to dug out the Martian soil for examination, has developed a malfunction. Malfunction means it has stopped functioning. We don't know the cause, but our technicians are confident they'll sort it out. They will find it out where the fault lies. And shortly afterwards, there was another press release from NASA. The mechanical hand is working again, thanks to the efforts of our technicians. Soil samples are being collected and examined. Soon we will know the answer to the question whether there is life on Mars. Life on Mars? Of all the planets in our solar system, Mars is nearest in location and physical conditions to our Earth. So the scientists behind the Viking mission were hopeful of finding life on Mars. But they were in for a disappointment. The Viking mission found no signs of life on Mars. So finally, the scientists were not. They did not come out with a positive conclusion. It was found out that there is no life on Mars. So with this chapter, An Alien Hand, comes to an end. Please read the whole chapter again, children. Underline the difficult words. Take a dictionary, find out the word meanings and write it in the chapter itself, in the book itself. In my next class, I will send the PDF of the question answers. Thank you, children.